Back in on the Domed In pod. This one might be a little bit of a longer one. We're going to be discussing the Syracuse secondary here. I think we're very excited about this group. At least I am. I don't know about you, Tav, but I'm very excited about this group.
100%. I think also what's encouraging, obviously, Fran is very involved with this group
Of course, former DB guy. Yeah.
This is a group he cares and takes a lot of personal interest in.
You're watching Domed In Cuse, the quick hit podcast for real Orange fans. If you love Cuse sports, hit like and subscribe. Let's go Orange.
This is one I think we're going to see some really big leaps from guys, and frankly, I think we saw some pretty good performances out of guys last year in a year where there were some question marks coming into the season.
So let's dive into it. We're going to go back to the 4-2-5 this year. So in the 4-2-5, we're going to have three safeties essentially out on the field, one of them playing that star position. We'll discuss that and who's going to play that position. But just to go ahead and get us started, the three guys who we think are going to be starting in those spots are going to be Grant, Chestnut, obviously Big Deuce, and Barry Buxton. Barry Buxton is most likely going to be in that free safety position. He's more of going to be the ball hawk, playing deep, trying to make plays in the secondary. Deuce and Grant, there's probably a lot of discussion on who plays which one, the star or the strong safety. Personally, for me, I think Deuce would be better positioned to play the star because he's going to be better if he has to shift out to cover in kind of a nickel format when you're in that 4-2-5. He's had experience at the cornerback position. If you have to split him out wide on a guy, he might have that better opportunity to do that. Whereas Grant, I feel like, is more of that up and down kind of player, that north-south kind of player, where you're going to want to pull him into the box against the run as much as possible, but you don't necessarily want him all the time flaring out because he's more of a thumper. We've seen that. I think one of the plays of the year last year was that big play that he made against Miami, right?
Strip six.
And I mean, that's the kind of stuff that as you lose guys like Marlowe Wax and you lose guys like Justin Barron on this defense, guys who made big plays for you at big times, where does that come from? And Grant is one of those guys. Barry Buxton's one of those guys. Deuce is definitely a more experienced guy that we're going to see out there. So whichever way they go, those three are going to be super important to not only the defense, but to definitely how important this secondary and how good this secondary is. We've talked about it. Defensive line, we obviously lost a lot. Linebackers, a little bit of a question mark. Secondary is the one group we're going to rely on.
Yeah.
As we get into the cornerbacks, we've got a litany of quarterbacks. I'm just going to name them because we're not really going to have quarterback 1, 2, 3 set yet. There's a lot of new guys coming in. First guy we're going to talk about is Demetrius Samuel. Our Travis Hunter, two-way kid, only 17. Are you kidding me? And I think this kid's going to play. I think he's going to play a lot. You've then got the Kerr brothers. One of them was here last year. One of them's coming in. I think we're going to see, good production from them. You've got Chris Peel. That's big time. You've got Greg Delane, Caleb Singleton, and then Raheem Long Jr., who I'm naming last, but he's definitely not last on the depth chart. He's going to be a guy that I think we're going to see a lot from. He was at ACC Media Days along with Buxton, and I was really impressed with the guys that Fran brought, including the punter Stonehouse. But, Fran always seems to bring the guys. Tank was there. Fran seems to bring the guys that, know how to talk about the game, know how to talk about the team, and that look like real leaders when they're up there. And that's one thing that I got from both Long and Buxton was they look like guys who are leaders that are ready to step into that role that we're going to be missing from guys like Marlowe, guys like Justin Barron.
Totally. I think to your point, I think Fran bringing you to media day is about as firm a stamp of trust as he is going to give somebody, right? Like, I think that's a trust signal to guys who are buying into the program, right? And I think Long and Buxton are both guys now who are multi-year on the program now with Fran. I think are largely pretty disciplined players on the field too, which we'll get into. But I think overall, like you said, I think the strength of our defense is frankly our secondary through the middle with Deuce.
Well, one thing I just want to add is, yeah, they're guys who you see them discipline on the field, but then they come to media day and you also see their discipline off the field. And that's the Dart aspect. Dart, That's the dart aspect that Fran wants to bring. You bring that same energy on the field, and you bring that same energy off the field. You look like a pro, you act like a pro, you're going to be a pro.
Totally. Couldn't agree more. And I think, kind of getting back to the initial point I agree 100% that I think our strength, frankly, is going to be really the middle of our secondary through the defense. I think with Deuce and Grant coming back and being some experienced leadership through the middle of the defense, and probably, like you've mentioned, our two most proven playmakers on that side of the ball right now, they're going to be relied upon a lot this year. We're really going to need them to take out the matchups or the tough matchups on the opposing team, particularly through the middle of the field, running backs, tight ends, slot receivers. Those guys are going to get a lot of those responsibilities this year. But to your point, there is talent on the outside. Demetrius Samuel, I think, was our highest rated recruit before a recent commit here with Mr. Russell here in quite some time. And look, he is going to be an electric kid playing out there. It sounds like, frankly, he's going to have a really good opportunity to start here right away as a freshman, which, again, we had last year with Barnes. And Fran has proven he is not afraid of that at the corner position. But like you said, we also got experience coming back with guys like Long, the Kerr brothers, who bring some size and just raw athleticism at those positions, being track stars in high school. I think this is going to be a group that overachieves this year. I really do think Fran has a pretty clear path for development with his corners. And I think we saw it last year, right? Like, we had a lot of injuries at this position group. And frankly, they kind of stuck together throughout the year. I would not say that the secondary was a major issue, with the defense last year by any means. And so I've got a lot of faith in this group. And I think just the leadership in the back end, really through the middle, hopefully is really going to carry us forward this year.
Yeah, we'll see. I think you make good points about the guys that we're bringing in and what they can add to this defense, and also just what it means to get big-time recruits, right? I think that's the big thing. The Kerr brothers, they might not be the highest recruits, but they're really solid recruits that Fran was able to bring in that maybe in the past would have looked other places. So, this is just showing another area where Fran has just added a ton of depth, a ton of youth. And we have some guys that we've spotlighted: Grant, Buxton, Long, Deuce, guys that are coming back that are going to bring some experience. But how refreshing is it to be at Syracuse and be able to look to the future and be like, it's only going to get better?
Totally. I couldn't agree more. We've got a stable at this position group. And for whatever reason, corner has been a position group in secondary that we have been able to sustain talent in, even through some of the dark periods of the program. And I just expect that to continue, honestly. And I think one other thing to note just about the group overall is Fran clearly has a type, at least at corner here. There's not many little guys that we're recruiting at this corner position. We're looking at guys, for the most part, over 6 feet tall, long-armed, more physical in stature. Like, we want to be physical on the outside. That's clearly the sort of guys we're bringing in. And I think that really fits just overall Fran's kind of tone for the defense.
Well, actually, technically in the secondary, even including some of the guys, another guy that we didn't mention, Jaleel Martin, who's a transfer in from Nebraska. I think he has a chance to play a lot in the secondary at the safety positions behind some of the guys we mentioned that we brought back. But including him, when you look across the secondary, I don't even think we have one player under 6 feet.
Exactly.
A lot of long arms, a lot of height, and clearly Fran wants to be a physical team, and we've seen that we've talked about it in almost every single position group preview. Beef. Fran wants to bring in beef. He's gotten us big and long at every position, and this one is no exception.
100%. Couldn't agree more. And again, I think that's great and core to what the identity he's trying to build here. We need to get bigger and faster, and at corner is a position, particularly too, just with college football. And I think, frankly, how the ACC looks at the quarterback position, you have got to be able to defend and be physical on the outside.